Warning, the following episode of Blackwell Podcast contains spoilers for all episodes of Life is Strange. Got it?
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Blackwell Podcast, where we love Life is Strange more than Victoria loves her cashmere sweaters. I'm here with Jamie.
Hello.
And Joey.
Hello. How you guys doing today?
Tired.
I'm doing good.
Yeah, I feel you, Sean.
Yeah.
Feel you on the tired.
Long work day.
So, today, we are talking about none other than Queen Bee Victoria Chase.
Ooh wee. This is gonna be a fun one.
It is.
I mean, yeah, she's interesting. There's a lot to her character.
Yeah, there's like a lot of depth to her personality, which we'll kind of delve into a little bit. So
yeah.
We talked a little bit about her in the Vortex Club episode that we did. Mm-hmm. But now that we have Sean with us, we can actually do a full episode on her.
yes, this is gonna go into.
It's gonna be something.
Yeah, it's gonna be something.
Something, yeah.
We don't know yet, but here we go. So let's dive right into it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. So Victoria Maribeth Chase is an 18-year-old student from Blackwell. She was born on August 14th, 1995, in Seattle.
Yep. So she is an affluent student. Blackwell, she's a member of the Vortex Club. Mm-hmm. She's friends with Nathan, Taylor, Courtney. Though we don't really see her, like, friendliness towards Taylor and Courtney.
We hear about it more than we see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, you know, Victoria's, she definitely puts on airs. She definitely has an attitude about her.
Yeah. She definitely has a front as well.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have an idea about, like, why she has the front, but I'll kind of go into that a little bit later on.
Yeah, I kind of have a theory as well, but I feel like mine's kind of just straightforward, so...
Her parents are very wealthy, and they, too, have an artistic background. They own, I believe it's called the Chase Space, which is a pretty popular art studio in Life is Strange universe. And so she's rich. She has a lot of nice things. She has the highest quality camera and equipment and clothing and what have you.
Yep. She's the classic rich, popular blonde girl, I suppose, but maybe with a little twist. But all the characters kind of in Life is Strange are based off archetypes, but they are all played on a little bit, which is one of the reasons I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really cool. It's a really cool take on the high school tropes.
Yep.
High school student tropes. So, where should we begin? Should we, do you want to talk about, I guess we can do the play-by-play of our interactions with Victoria.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sounds good.
So episode 1, she's one of the first voices we hear, aside from Jefferson's, and she is like very, just the whole time she's like staring daggers at Max. I think that's the expression.
I believe.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yes.
And we also, if there's one thing that we learned from Life is Strange, it's about daguerreotypes.
Yep. Yes.
And that is from Victoria.
I'm kind of like jumping ahead a little bit, but I really love when you rewind and you answer the Daguerrean process to Jefferson. That Victoria looks so pissed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good moment.
She's like, Nani, the fuck?
She's just so rude.
It's weird. I guess the and we'll get into this a little bit more later, but I guess the reason that she's so like, I don't know, like zoned in on Max is because she sees Max as a threat.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Even though, so yeah, we'll talk about that more when we get more into like her actual character. And,
yeah.
Because I think there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, I agree.
She also tells Max that she's stuck in the retro zone, sad face. I don't know what that means, especially in the context that she uses it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say it's kind of like, because she uses like old cameras, like Polaroid cameras, and so it's kind of retro, I guess. But it just doesn't fit in the context. I know what you mean.
I'm looking to see if there's if that's like an old school photography term. I'm not getting anything.
I don't know.
So we'll move on. I think after the classroom,
there's something that I kind of like to mention beforehand, though, before we kind of leave the classroom, is when you start like exploring Jefferson's classroom, is basically where she is whilst you are. She's basically at Jefferson's desk, just trying to get into his good books.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Flirting with him.
Yeah, and then when Max speaks to him, and she's like, sorry, excuse me, and then Victoria's just like, yes, excuse you. And I'm like, okay, Victoria.
And then Jefferson is like, no, Victoria, excuse you.
Yeah.
Fucking got him.
It's a Mexican standoff of excusing. So yeah, there's that interaction. Again, kind of setting up the dynamic between Max and Victoria, of Victoria just being extremely hateful towards Max.
Yep.
And we kind of like start to get the impression is why is because Max seems to be like Jefferson's favorite, which we find out later why, and it's because Jefferson is disgusting.
Exactly.
Gross.
But Victoria takes that as like a threat to her, because she's trying to make a name for herself, and she's going about it. Victoria's going about it by like the destroy all who stand in my path route.
Yeah.
So after that exchange, we see her again when trying to get back into the dorms, and we have to there's a few different things we have to do to get Victoria to move. Mm-hmm. We have to tamper with the paint bucket and cut on the sprinklers, and so when the sprinklers cut on, that causes her to stand up and move underneath the scaffolding, which are underneath the ladder, which Samuel climbs up with the faulty paint bucket, and when he hangs it up, it falls and splashes all over Victoria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say probably this moment has probably one of the most quotable lines in the entire game.
Oh, yeah,
which
it sure does.
Why don't you go fuck yourselfie?
Mm-hmm.
A good line.
Inspired so much
I feel like that's also a really good scene for getting to know Victoria in the sense of afterwards when you can choose to make fun of her or comfort her. Mm-hmm. Like, there's two very, very different versions of Victoria dependent on which choice you decide to go with.
Yeah.
Right.
And speaking of choice, great segue here. You can choose to either comfort Victoria or take a picture of her to humiliate her.
It's not a segue, that's just exactly what Sean just said.
I want to feel relevant, please. Okay, so what did everyone go for?
The first time I think I went for make fun of her, but now every time I play it, I go for comfort her.
Joey?
I comforted her my first playthrough, which is an odd thing to me, considering you set all that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To just, like, straight up dunk on her, and then it seems like it...
Yeah, it's kind of also a little bit fucked up in the sense that Max did it, and Victoria doesn't know that she did it, so she's done this horrible thing to her, and then she's like, oh, wow, that's so horrible, I can't believe that happened to you.
What an odd chain of events that just so happened to land the paint on you.
Yeah, just when you wouldn't let me through the dorms.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've always comforted Victoria. I know what happens. I've seen what happens. You take a photo, make fun of her, but I think I've just always comforted her. I feel like I don't know. I think it's like one of those things where like you do something kind of vindictive and then you immediately regret it, and you're like, "Oh no, what have I done?"
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like curious to see what happened if you make fun of her, and I was like, it's pretty cool. Doesn't feel right though, especially for like Max's character. So it's like it seemed a bit too aggressive. So I just went for comforting.
Yeah. Also, so in doing that, if you do take her photo, make fun of her, she'll trash Max's room.
And it also has consequences later on when you try to warn her about Nathan.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Which, in retrospect, kind of a good thing. Because if she believes you, and we'll get to that when we get to episode 5, episode 4 and 5. But when if she believes you, she goes straight to Jefferson, and Jefferson's like, "Okay, well, I guess now I'm going to kill you too." Mm. And so, in retrospect, it's kind of a good thing that if like Victoria just stays pissed off at you and never believes you. Yeah. That was it, man. Well, we'll save it. We'll save it for then. But, so if you do comfort Victoria, we do see a little bit of Victoria's softer side. Mm. She's a little bit more real with Max, a little bit more down to earth. She says she won't post the photo that she took of Max,
and that she deserves a better shot.
Yeah. And then Taylor and Courtney run off to get Victoria a towel to get the paint off of what are you laughing about?
No, I was just reading ahead and I'm getting really excited to talk about something.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get there, believe me.
And I guess it's important to note that Victoria is wearing cashmere.
Yeah.
Of course. Notice how cashmere is spelt with... You can't spell cashmere without cash.
It's very true. So we get into the dorm room, and we find a note that Dana has borrowed the USB drive that we were trying to give back to Warren. So we go to Dana's room, where Juliet has like somehow managed to lock Dana in her own room. Won't let her out. And we have to... What is believed here is that Dana has been sexting with Juliet's boyfriend, Zach. And we find out by going to dig around Victoria's room the truth. So, we go to Victoria's room. Optional photo here is you can arrange the photos on Victoria's wall to a middle finger.
That's one of my favorites.
It's really good.
It's really creative. I like it.
It must have taken more than 10 minutes to make that, though.
Right.
It does I think it does like a little cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm going to say it took her like a second. There are, if you leave it, you can take the picture and then rewind and, return the photos to normal, or you can leave it as it is. There are consequences for leaving as is later on. But some might find it worth it for that excellent on Victoria.
True.
I rewound. I ain't risking that.
I can't remember. I think I rewound. I might have left it up though. I can't remember.
I left it up.
Did you?
Yeah.
So we have to snoop around on Victoria's laptop a little bit, and we find her an email to, I believe it's Courtney.
Yeah, I think so.
An email saying what she's doing, basically, or maybe it was even an email to Zach. I don't know. Which we find Zach's phone later.
Yeah. That's what I got excited about.
Okay. Anyway, so we find the email and we print it out, and then we take that to Juliet so that Juliet will let Dana out of her room.
Yeah.
Juliet and Dana make up. Juliet's pissed off at Victoria and also breaks up with Zach.
Yep. And if I remember correctly, that's kind of the last we really hear about Victoria kind of directly until we see her, like, pretty much at the end of the credits for episode 1, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, she's outside of Blackwell Academy looking at the Rachel Lambert poster on the bulletin board and just repping it down.
Yeah, that's and we'll talk about that with like relationships a little bit when we get into Victoria's relationships with other characters. But she does have quite the distaste for Rachel.
Yeah. And that's episode 1.
That is episode 1. Episode 2, Out of Time. When we leave the room, we hear Victoria in her room, in Victoria's room, telling Courtney to get her paper finished, and then she like kind of slams the door.
Yeah.
And then
fun fact about that little part: it's not voiced by Danny Knights.
Oh, really?
Really?
It's voiced by Diane.
Oh, nice.
I don't know how I found that out. I think I was like listening. I was like playing episode 2, like a replay of it, and I just heard it's like that isn't Danny, and I just kept on listening, and it sounded more and more like Juliet. It's like holy shit. So if I'm right on that, please let me know. I really hope I'm right.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
We can ask Diane about it. So, also, the song that's playing in Victoria's room is not on the soundtrack, unfortunately. I guess they figured
it's such a good song. I listen to that one all the time.
I love it.
Whenever I'm getting ready to go out and I'm like doing my hair and I'm like, and you know, I got my nails done, hair done, everything did. Such a good song.
All eyes on me in the
club.
You guys are nerds.
Such a good song.
I guess they figured it didn't really fit the overall feel of the soundtrack, so they didn't put it on there.
That's what I like about it, though. It's just so odd.
It's very Victoria, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's very...
Yeah. 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 of us girls, 4, let's go.
You guys could be here all day listening to while just singing there, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, we then make Max go take a shower. And while she's, like, in the bathroom, she overhears Victoria come in with Taylor, and they're kind of harassing Kate about the video, the viral video of Kate from the party.
Yeah. Right, you see, everything is somewhat forgivable at a kind of like on a certain level, right? But if you fuck with Kate, I hate you.
Yeah.
I hate you forever.
One of the reasons I really, really don't like. I'm very conflicted about Victoria, but there's something at the end of episode 2 that Victoria does regarding Kate that kind of pisses me off the most. But I'll get onto that later.
Yeah.
Kate leaves, and we overhear Victoria, and I'm just going to call her Vic from now on. She tells Taylor she kind of suspects that Nathan drugged her. Well, I don't think it's that Nathan like drugged her.
Yeah, he just gave her drugs.
Right? But in fact, Nathan did drug her. She also is complaining about still having paint on her face, and tells Taylor to hang out with Max and Kate.
I don't get how she still has paint on her face. I mean, did she not like go upstairs and immediately clean it?
Well, see, that's what she blames Taylor
for taking
too long to get the towel. And I guess the paint dried on her face, and paint's kind of hard to get off.
Oh yeah, once it's dry and on skin, it's just not fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is kind of where we see also what Victoria has to say about Max will be dependent on if you comforted her or made fun of her. Why such simple words that I forget that like just while I'm trying to talk leave my brain. And I think like if you comforted her, she'll just say like, I hate that I'm so quirky crap.
Mm-hmm.
What if you made fun of her? Vic will be quite angry with Max.
Angry
reacts only.
Yeah. And then before she leaves, she writes down the link to Kate's video on the mirror with lipstick.
Not very nice. But how does she know, like, the entire link? Like, she must be a big fan of that site. I just don't know what to say.
It's not really a hard URL to remember, though.
Yeah, it's a real site as well.
Yeah. And
my voice just cracked.
And if you go on there, they'll say the video's been removed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Which I gotta say, I love that type of thing, the, like, meta stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was really cool of Don't Nod and Square Enix to kind of set that up to, like, just have, like, some meta viral stuff.
Yeah. Like, The Last of Us has a lot of stuff like that. When you're in the mall and stuff, it's, like those pet companies and like follow us on Twitter and stuff like that. And if you go on the Twitter, there's like tweets saying, "Hey, we're having a few issues, but everything's gonna be fine," and like then it's just that and never anything replied. So, but people were worried that they were gonna find the accounts and see spoilers. But yeah, I like that as well. I think it's a nice detail.
Weren't there QR codes that you could scan in The Last of Us as well?
Yeah.
I think that, yeah. That's
I'll be playing
really cool.
I'll be playing that game very soon, so
Yeah.
I'll let you guys know what I think about it.
Yeah.
All right, back onto Life is Strange. So, kind of what you mentioned earlier. If you kind of comfort Victoria, she won't trash your room. If so, if you do make fun of her, she'll trash it to hell.
Mm-hmm.
And with like with the mirror message, "Filthy artist, dirty whore," which isn't a nice thing to say.
Mm-mm.
I don't think it's that accurate either, to be honest. Like, if she was like, said something about her being hipster, I'd be like, okay, I can kind of get what you're trying to put down here, but
I think like whore is the go-to, just the go-to
Insult.
Insult. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Against girls and women.
yeah, true.
I don't get how she got in that room so quickly.
Right?
I guess she goes there right after leaving the bathroom, which makes sense. She's really pissed off at Max, and she's just is like, "I'm going to do something about it."
Just runs in and like, hey. But then
I gotta say, going back to the link on the mirror, you know that Victoria wears expensive lipstick, so for her to use that lipstick to write a URL on a mirror is like,
she's pretty serious about it.
That's some deep-seated shit.
Yeah, but I guess when you have a lot of money, buying an expensive lipstick isn't an expensive lipstick.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, what is the fucking word? It starts with a P.
Uh,
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say prosumerism, and I was like, that's not the word I'm looking for.
I was going to say perpendicular, so I was way off.
It's relative. It doesn't start with a P. It's all relative.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Man, I cannot.
It's all
English good.
It's all palliative.
We're all
Joey.
having English problems today.
I'm okay.
Holy, it'll happen soon.
Yeah.
Give us some time.
Okay. So yeah, we don't really hear much about Victoria after that.
Right.
Really, except in the classroom later on, like pretty much towards the end of episode 2.
That's a good part because there's a bit where Victoria looks right into the camera after Nathan says something dumb.
It's like, yeah, I see you, audience. I know what you're up to.
It's a good meme.
There's actually, so when Victoria and Nathan are sitting on Max's desk and you go up, there's actually 4 different things that can happen depending on how you interacted with Nathan, his pulling a gun on Chloe, and how you interacted with Victoria. So if you hide the truth and you made fun of Victoria, Nathan will call, and I'm just reading this. Nathan will call Max mysterious and a pixie hipster. Victoria will also call Max a whore and demand Max to hand over her photograph before she gets nasty.
Ooh.
Max will reply that it is too late for that. Nathan will comment that he enjoys watching girls fight. Shut up, Nathan.
Ew.
Second option is to comfort or hide the truth.
Yes.
But is there something that you like to say about that one, Joey, before I move on?
Well, so that one is like probably one of the better interactions that you'll get the best interaction, and where Victoria was she'll just go, I don't know, can you? And then
just move to another table.
Mm-hmm. And then Nathan will comment that it's fine to give Max a desk, as it was all she had.
Ooh. Blah, 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 blah.
It's a pretty good roast, I won't lie.
Yeah.
So, alright.
Air horn.
Third option is probably one of the worst ones that can happen.
Upon
we should alliterate that. We're reading these from the Life is Strange wiki. Because it's got a lot of information regarding the game, different characters and whatnot. So it's a good source of information for us, and it's a really good site. So, upon approaching Max's desk, Victoria will call Max a whore and demand to hand over the photograph before she gets nasty. It's pretty much the same about the make fun from the hide the truth section. But then Nathan will declare Max's response as a burn, also call her fearless. Now she has backup, and basically, in regards to reporting him. When Max asks if she could sit at a desk, Victoria will get up and warn Max that she shouldn't get too cocky. And basically, it's not over.
What she should have, what would have been a really good, it would have completely dissolved the mood. But she should have said, "Don't get cocky, kid."
I wish I remembered what the reference was.
It's what Han says to Luke.
Oh,
in Star Wars.
In the Wrath of Khan.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
With Sirius Black and Frodo.
I'm not familiar enough.
If you comfort Victoria but still have reported Nathan, Nathan will tell Victoria to be quiet because they are both being confronted by a master snitch and liar. Victoria will ask Max if she thought they were going to be best friends forever because Max was nice to Victoria. Max will reply that she thought nothing of the sort. Nathan will call Max an attention whore. Max will reply that Nathan would know about that and ask to sit at her desk. Victoria will move aside to allow Max to sit at her table and tell her to take a selfie of their moment. Nathan will comment that Max should as well, so that he doesn't forget her.
It was a bit away from Nathan.
Well, it's what he's saying. What he's saying is that, like, she's so, like, passé to him.
Oh.
Yeah.
That, if he doesn't get a picture, then he won't ever remember who she is.
Like, no offense, but that's kind of a good thing. Like, I don't exactly want Nathan to notice me either. Like, if I saw Nathan on the street, I'd be like, don't look in my direction, please.
Wear one of those things that horses wear during races where they just look straight, so you can't look
the blinders.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a contrast in which Nathan said it's like a master snitch and a liar. Which is a bit of a contradiction, right? Because if you're a master snitch, you're telling someone the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if she's a liar too, it's like, which one?
I mean, I guess
which one is she, buddy?
I guess you can snitch on someone and still make up a lie about it,
Yeah.
because he's trying to say that he didn't do anything.
Okay.
But like, you could still like if I wanted to get one of you in trouble, I don't know who I would go to. Your parents.
Oh no!
And I would say that off air, Jamie called me a bastard, and Jamie's dad. Let me tell you, it really hurt my feelings, and I want you to ground him.
He'd probably applaud me, to be honest. Anyway, we're getting off track here. So basically, we're talking about. So pretty much next time we see Victoria is just outside the dorms, right?
Yeah.
With Kate. I can't remember. Fucking. They're recording her.
That's what annoys me. That's the thing that really pisses me off, is that when Kate is still on top of the roof and, like, they're recording her, that's so fucked up. Like,
yeah.
Incredibly fucked up.
And the one thing that really sucks is that she's like, oh, you know, I was like good friends with Katie and everything. It's like,
yeah, I was like,
bitch, excuse you.
Excuse me. She's so rude. Like that is definitely what pissed me off most about Victoria. I was like, that's just disgusting, really.
Yeah, I don't mind Victoria, but it's like mainly the stuff about Kate really annoys me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that whole like the whole mentality of something crazy is happening, so let's record it.
Yeah.
I would never do that, though. Oh, God. That's horrible.
I saw, when I went to Washington, D.C., just on a weekend trip a couple months ago, and just kind of like look at the museums and stuff. Well, the reason that I went was because there was a pop-up bar that was Mario themed, and I wanted to go to that bar, but I lost my ID.
Oh, shit.
Like, at a rest area, so I couldn't go to the bar. But I still had fun in DC. But anyway, we were we were walking, me and my buddy that went, we were walking, and this lady starts screaming at this guy and is like telling someone to call the cops or whatever. And I was like about to call the cops just because I didn't know what was going on, but like there were other people that were like pulling out phones to record it. Like see what was going on. I don't know what the outcome was. Apparently, the lady was accusing this guy of stealing a bike, which is a pretty bold move, I have to say, because in Washington, D.C., where everybody rides a bike and where you can like rent all these different kinds of bikes and stuff like that to like commute around, and there's bike tours and you see a lot of bikes. That's a bold move, saying that I know for a fact this one particular bike out of the thousands of bikes in Washington, D.C. was stolen. But I don't know what. The cops came up because she was making so much noise. And it's Washington, D.C., so it's the heart of Copland. I don't know what came of it. But anyway, little story for you listeners. Enjoy. So after you save or don't save Kate, and you go to the final cutscene, we see a little bit of humanity in Victoria.
Yeah.
And I think, and we kind of see, you know, it really did get to her. She kind of realized like what she was doing was fucked, but of course she never really publicly shows remorse too much. Mm-hmm. But, and you could argue too that there could be some like fear of repercussions on her end because she was one of the main antagonists of Kate.
Yeah.
And that could be why she was crying. But I would like to believe that maybe a little bit of that, but also just like she kind of realized that. I think it's, here's what I think. Here's my take on it. I think it's, she was sitting there and she's kind of realizing like some of the shit she does is really fucked. And it's kind of one of those things like, why do I do this? Like, why am I like this?
Yeah, and I think like she's sat there, like obviously that's the theme of the game, but she's realizing like her actions do have consequences. Like it's not just a little joke to everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel like that's probably quite overwhelming.
And then we also see a little bit of humanity from Nathan as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When Nathan comes to her room.
And credits for episode 2.
Roll credits, fade to black.
That it.
Crying.
Fade to black, roll credits.
I like that album. Yeah.
That was their first terrible album.
Yeah, roll credits.
Mm-hmm. Fade to Black is a Metallica album and it's not very good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I'm just so uneducated.
I only know that because of Guitar Hero Metallica.
Oh my god, yes, Guitar Hero.
Because I was like a big fan of those kind of games. And
yeah,
then,
I was as well.
I got the Metallica one.
Actually, I take that back. Fade to Black is not their first terrible album. Their first terrible album is Injustice for All. And Fade to Black is actually okay. It has some decent songs on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Episode 3, Chaos Fury.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, basically, there's a little bit of a change up on what can happen depending on episode 2. Which is the whole way. It could have messages of, like, get well soon, or, like, rest in peace or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if Kate dies, Victoria blames Max by commenting, "Hope you at least got a selfie out of this." Well, I don't know if it's so much blaming Max, but it's being very, very ugly.
Aggro.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of a problem with...
Victoria also... Oh, what?
I've got a bit of a problem with what Victoria wrote on Kate's social media page.
Requiescat in peace?
Yeah. It's not that, it's Requiescat in Pace, and I only know that from the Assassin's Creed series, because I'm a big
in Pace is peace.
Also, I just want to point out the fact that she's like, "I hope you at least got a selfie out of this," is a little bit ironic considering the fact she was stood there filming it.
Yeah.
That's true. That's very true.
Oh, yeah, still. But my point being
also,
is, if you might as well go the entirety of it instead of just going Requiescat in peace. Yeah. Just my little criticism, I guess.
Rip in peace.
Victoria needs to step up her social media game.
Yeah.
By dropping a Assassin's Creed reference.
Yeah.
on the wall of a dead girl.
Oh.
Okay. Moving on.
She writes, "Wherever you go, there I am," which is also not true because she would also be in Kate's grave.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
She would be dead too if that were the case.
Well, depending on episode 4, she might.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
True.
If you save Kate, Victoria will just leave a message sending love to you. And then again, she writes, "Wherever you go, there I am."
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
I don't know.
So, Joan.
Sounds like a little bit of a threat.
Sounds like a song lyric.
Good.
I think it's a play on... Wherever You Go, There You Are, which is a book on mindfulness, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's just some pseudo-philosophical... I saw this sign for this not great apartment complex, and it made me laugh so hard because it said, "If you lived here, you'd be home now." When I was like delivering pizzas to a place in the apartment complex, and it's like, yeah, no shit. Like that's the best you got from marketing is, "If you lived here, you'd be home now."
Yeah, that is really dumb.
All right. If Max blames Jefferson, then Victoria... So, if Max blames Mark Jefferson for Kate's suicide attempt, a social media page in support of Mark Jefferson will be set up by Blackwell students. Victoria will write a comment on the page. The major reason I came to Blackwell was Mark Jefferson. So, in defense of Jefferson. If Max blames Nathan, Nathan gets suspended... And he'll send an email to tell Vic about Max, who got him suspended. Let's see. Okay. So Nathan will also mention about the possibility that he will have to work for his father, and his parents had to be dumb if they thought Nathan represented his father's business. Declaring that Blackwell Academy and Max had to go down, he changed the subject to the planned end of the world party and asked if Vic was in. Vic replied, it was bullshit, that Blackwell has suspended Nathan based on Max's words, and thought Max was trouble based on how she interacted Max was trouble based on how she interacted with their art class teacher, Mark Jefferson. So you just get a few different things depending on your choices there. So we find out that Vic sends an email to Taylor talking about being remorseful because of her responsibility in Kate's attempt.
Yeah.
And then she also sneaks out.
But she gets spotted. Uh-oh. Basically, she's just trying to get bonus points for Jefferson to win the contest. That's pretty much why she's leaving, right?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Or it's probably like, it could be one of those like back on my bullshit type things to like, you know, like when people don't have healthy habits of dealing and coping with stuff, they like tend to be self-destructive.
Yeah.
And so that might be why she went immediately to Jefferson to try to like, well, I'm feeling bad about myself, so let me go like try to boost myself up this way. So yeah, Dana spots her leaving, and that's where we find out like about where Victoria went.
Yeah, pretty much to Jefferson for the pity points.
Yeah.
So yeah, we pretty much outside, right? When we go outside later. Although we can go into her room. See that she likes anime. And, you know, has, like, pictures of, like, a Rachel Amber poster with, like, graffiti all over it and whatnot.
Yeah, with not very nice messages.
No.
It's a very macabre thing to have in your room. Yeah, and the optional photo there is to, you have to, I believe you had to turn on the lamp, for the glow in the dark figure space thing. Yeah,
I thought it was,
I think you
put your phone light over it.
Maybe that's it. You have to give it some sort of light source, and then it'll glow, and while it's glowing, you can get the picture.
Yes. Yeah, but then she leaves. And then we see her interaction with Marky Mark.
Marky Mark and the fucky butt.
The fucky butch.
Yeah, so we see that Victoria is flirting with Jefferson to
get points.
Yeah, to try to secure her trip to Seattle, or not Seattle, San Francisco.
Yeah.
Which Jefferson doesn't really have any of, because Victoria is not Jefferson's type, and that Victoria is not this like...
She doesn't have like that aura of innocence that he kind of describes in episode 5.
Yeah.
Fucking freak. Yeah, so pretty much he says, no, fuck off, and then just he fucks off. Then she goes away.
She's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
So if you blame Jefferson while he's talking to Victoria, if you blame Jefferson, then he says that Kate's situation doesn't affect it, but that he won't be going, like, because he's kind of under review, he won't be going to the Everyday Heroes panel or showcase, I guess. And then Victoria says that Max's photo will definitely be a selfie.
She wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
So basically, if Max blames Nathan, pretty much that it's pretty much almost the same way. He has to pick a winner. Basically, he has everybody except for Max, which you kind of mentioned, and refers to Jefferson by his first name.
Mark. Oh, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah, so, the whole time Vic is just trying to really hammer it down that she should win.
Yeah.
And finally Mark tells her to go back to her room.
But she doesn't, really. She just sits down at a bench. What I can remember. I really want to get to a certain part of episode 3. Really badly. And I think you know which part it is.
So if you did blame Jefferson, Victoria will send a text message that says, I thought you might be ready for the Vortex Club, but after that shit you pulled with Jefferson, no fucking way. You're such an emo queen that you didn't want anybody to go in with him to San Francisco. You're even too much of a pussy to enter your own cliche selfies in one dumb contest. It's all about Max. Even going to the roof was about showing off, not saving Kate. I'm going to make sure nobody at Blackwell is fooled by your woe is Max act.
Get ready.
Ooh.
Fight.
A little bit of projecting there.
It sounds like something a WWE wrestler would say. Get ready for this.
I'm going to make sure nobody at Blackwell is fooled by your woe is Max act.
This Sunday night.
It's time to get ready.
Alright, so we don't really hear much about Victoria until we prevent William's death, right?
Right.
So there's something that I want to mention before we get away from it. So,
okay.
Whilst you're about to go swimming with Chloe, you stumble across the boys' lockers where you find Zachary's phone.
Yes.
Oh, the interaction really fucking got me.
It reminds. I think it's a Tumblr maybe. It's like a collection of like the ridiculous things that I think it's like straight boys sexting or something like that. And it's all these like really shitty like dumb things that like people like have received messages. It's mostly and then what winky face,
yeah.
but go ahead. What does Zach say?
Okay, so from what I can remember, it's pretty much Zach is flirting with Victoria and says, "What are you wearing?" And she says, "Like nothing except my necklace on my phone." What about you? Says nothing. I'm just sitting on my football.
Yeah.
Why?
So that leads one to believe that he's referring to his dangly bits as his football. And it's just...
I didn't even think about that.
No, I was thinking about he was actually sitting on a football.
Yeah, same.
I think he's trying to, like, in the best way that he knows how, trying to play up his genitalia. And
he's doing it really, really badly.
Yeah, because I just envisioned him naked sitting on a football. So... and I was like, why would you be doing that?
Boy.
Either way, it's a why. It's just the only question that comes to me. And I don't think Victoria responds to that.
Same.
I think she was just laughing too hard. So yeah, that's pretty much all of episode 3 in the main timeline.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about the alternate one a little bit, right?
Yeah. So, when we come to in the alternate timeline, we find out that we're friends with Victoria and in the Vortex Club. And
like Victoria's actually sucking up to her.
Yeah. Yeah, so in this alternate timeline, Max is like
Victoria,
one of the affluent ones. And Vic calls her Maxine, to which Max says Max, never Maxine.
Another quotable line.
And Vic asks if Mad Max is angry at her.
Angry.
Hey, I've just noticed something looking on the wiki page.
Yep.
And it talks about Max demonstrating typical queen bee behavior, and I didn't really consider that Max would be the queen bee in the alternative universe, but now that I'm thinking about it, Victoria's behavior towards her does seem that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Plus the text messages that you kind of receive
Yeah.
where you send in episode 4 that you kind of read up is
Yeah.
kind of pretty kind of aggro, I guess.
Mm.
Which sucks.
Yeah. In response to her mom about like the money for the film and stuff that she's using, which is also interesting. She's not using a Polaroid. She's using a more traditional film style camera in the alternate timeline.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Even the messages to Alyssa really kind of was like, oh no.
yeah.
But then again, this is a Victoria episode, so we shouldn't really delve into it too much. But we can if we want.
I kind of guess Max is the Victoria in that universe, though.
Yeah.
It seems like it to a degree, yeah.
Crazy what 5 years of time travel can do.
Yeah, I would have liked to see that. Like, actually see Max's behavior rather than... Like...
Hear about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, episode 4, Dark Room. Oh boy. I'm not really... This episode fucked with me. And I'll delve into why, but you kind of what you mentioned about the queen bee behavior. Pretty much, Victoria's just pretty much nice to you because of it.
Yeah. It's interesting, too, that Victoria becomes, like, sort of the Warren of the alternate timeline, and that's, like, blowing up Max's phone.
And just, like, looking up to her.
Several messages in succession.
It's weird. Apart from the text, we don't really hear much about her. Until, like, the Vortex Club party.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
We do see that there was a binder when you actually find the dark room itself and you go down there and you're looking through all the stuff in there. One of the red binders has Victoria's name on
Which
it.
I don't get, honestly. I don't get why they chose Victoria, because Jefferson clearly said she wasn't his kind of model.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Which is a bit bizarre.
It's possible at some point Jefferson considered it, or even Nathan.
Yeah, probably Nathan
suggested it, and so I mean, it's possible that she was taken into consideration at some point. Which, her being the way she is, actually saved her from ending up in that
like horrible fucking place.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, after the whole fucking Rachel scene, the fuck me up fam, go to the Vortex Club party to find Nathan, but you also have an option to warn Victoria about what's happening.
Yeah.
And there's 4 different options here, which 4 different outcomes, which is you can warn her and don't warn her, but because of your choice in episode 1, it kind of conflicts with what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Should we say what the best thing you can do is?
Well, it depends on what you mean best.
As in, the best thing you can do for Victoria.
Oh yeah, the best thing you can do for Victoria is just not warn her.
Yeah, because if you warn her about Nathan, she goes to Jefferson. Which, oh boy, that's not good.
So, if you do warn her, but you didn't comfort her, and you didn't really... Oh, we kind of... I don't think we really... I think we hit on it a little bit. We hit on it a little bit, and I guess we can talk more about it in the relationships and character part. So I'll save it for then. So
okay.
If you comforted Victoria, then she'll heed your advice, go to Jefferson, which will end out poorly for her.
Yeah.
But you do see that Victoria does look up to Max a little bit. And Victoria says that Max is one of the coolest people in Blackwell for not caring what other people think. Mm-hmm. And then she even says, like, you know, unlike myself. And, which we kind of start seeing, like, well, we've seen it before, but it kind of solidifies the insecurities of Victoria.
Yeah, and we kind of, based on, like, insecurities, we kind of see her talking about how she realizes how cutthroat the industry is, and, like, she talks about how, in a sense, she's always trying to live up to her parents' expectations because they've been so successful in photography, and she's kind of always fighting for that.
You see, that's what I kind of think her personality is derived from, which is basically her anxiety of trying to do better, trying to shut people out by kind of being kind of aggressive to them, I guess.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so basically, she has, like, Courtney and Taylor, right? Even though she's somewhat mean to them at times, she is warm and caring on other occasions, which is a nice side to see from Victoria. It's kind of...
she lashes out.
Yeah.
It's a wall. I mean, it's a wall to put up to keep people from, like, seeing your insecurities and seeing, like, how, like, uncomfortable you are with yourself.
Yeah.
So she lashes out to keep people away.
It's kind of the same as Chloe does. Whenever Chloe's in a vulnerable situation, she, instead of being sad, she's angry.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But Victoria's is a little bit different in the fact that whereas Chloe often, when she lashes out, she's taken out on herself. She's angry at herself.
Yeah.
Whereas Victoria is very blatantly not nice to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
If you made fun of Victoria, then she just called Max a drama queen and ignores Max. And then if you don't warn her, then there's a pretty short exchange. Max says it's nice talking to you. And Victoria accuses her of being jealous.
Either way, we find out Nathan's not there.
Right.
And when you're about to leave, you hear the results from the Everyday Hero contest, which Victoria's the winner.
Mm-hmm.
I love this part of the game so much, mainly because of the audience reaction to her winning. It's like after the big speech, it's like, you suck, Victoria.
Yeah, that's a good part.
So, if you successfully warned, that's it with Victoria in episode 4, and then in Polarized episode 5, if you successfully warned Victoria, then she's in the dark room with you, and we find out that her fate is sealed. We kind of talked to her a little bit. But she's pretty out of it, and she's on the floor next to Max.
It's kind of hard to watch after kind of seeing Victoria kind of prone at that moment. And then ultimately leading to what's actually going to happen is just... Kind of makes you rethink her character a little bit. That's actually what changed my opinion, is when you see her at that moment in her life, which is ultimately her last moments.
Yeah. And she kind of begs Max to help her.
Yeah. Fuck, dude. Shit.
Which if we're going off of, like, divergent and parallel universe theory here, which we'll talk more about in an upcoming episode. But if we're going off of that, then in that universe, that timeline, Victoria's just dead. You killed Victoria, pretty much. Which is really a really interesting take on, like, how sometimes even your best intentions don't end well.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. So yeah, if you don't warn her, she's not there. which is great. But luckily, since you kind of go back into the Polaroid to episode 1, like around that time, you get to kind of comfort Victoria from her insecurities and tell, that she is good enough at what she's doing. She doesn't need to try too hard, which is great. It's a great sight to see. Even though she doesn't really believe it at first, but it gives it something to think over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
I guess. Well, okay. So she appears in the nightmare sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which there's some interesting segments with her in it. We kind of see like Max's take on like her subconscious, how she feels toward Victoria, and it's really weird. It's interesting.
Playable. Because she's playable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of an interesting scene that comes up in the nightmare sequence with when you're strapped to the chair with Victoria and Chloe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I still have so many questions about that. I mean, I kind of have a theory about it, but
I don't know.
What's your theory?
In the same sense that the same way Victoria sees Max as her biggest rival, in a sense, Max also sees that, because in her diary she talks about how she wishes she could be like Victoria in the sense that she's good at what she does and she's pretty and she's rich.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, if Chloe's like this girl she's having feelings for, is just very close with, or like best friends, whatever, maybe she's like, oh, this girl could potentially be just as good as I am, or better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Feels like she could be replaced by Victoria. Oof. So yeah, there's that part, as well as
Yeah, speaking of that though, something I've noticed, the chase price shippers, which are a thing, they don't really do that much in the fandom, but whenever they do, their fan art is amazing. Like, it's really good fan art. Every piece of chase price fan art I've seen is really impressive, and I'm just like, you all really came through for this.
Their dedication shows on the canvas.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up later. But probably one of the biggest parts about the nightmare sequence is the diner, where like you see everybody that you've probably ever encountered. And the Victoria one's kind of heartbreaking. It's just like, don't let me die.
Yeah.
Oof.
It's... I'm thinking, like, as far as the Chloe and Victoria scene in the nightmare sequence, I'm wondering if it isn't like, because we see them kissing and all that, and like they're like really close. I'm wondering if it isn't like a manifestation of the worry that Chloe might also kind of resent Max.
Yeah, that's
and
good
so
point.
like seeing their interaction like that is like sort of like
betrayal.
Yeah, and like a what's the word? Metaphorically in bed together.
Yeah.
And that they both like resent Max.
Yeah.
And they're both kind of using Max and that type of thing.
Yeah, like lying with the enemy, I suppose.
Yeah. Because I don't think that Max believes that they really had any.
Oh yeah, of course.
Any sort of interaction, but
yeah. So, guys, let's move on to the ending of episode 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
which is
Ending of the game.
it's really dependent here. It's either she's dead or not. Pretty much. If she's alive, if you sacrifice Chloe, she'll be at the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Alive with everybody, David.
Which I still find weird, some of the people who showed up at the funeral. I understand that they wanted to make it look like Chloe had friends and that there was all these people there for her, but if I was Chloe, I would be in my grave so pissed off that Victoria showed up to my fucking funeral.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see Chloe and Victoria's interactions in the prequel.
Yeah.
Before the Storm.
I'm really interested in seeing that.
Yeah.
Especially because there's a lot of people who do have theories that maybe that I don't know where they come from. I haven't really read into it that much, but there's people who have theories that there was something going on between Chloe and Victoria, which I mean I can't really see, but like I'd be pretty excited to see what the nature of their relationship was, whether they got along or not, because I feel in a way maybe they could get along.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all
They're so similar but different.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's mainly dependent on the relationship between Victoria and Rachel.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
it just could be what. But anyway. Yeah. It's kind of weird to see some people there. I mean, I know, like, Warren was comforting Max, like, that me and Joey and Aaron talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Kate was there to comfort Max and Joyce and David and whatnot. But maybe Victoria was there to show face, I guess?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah. It very well could be. It could be showing face. It could be in some way her, like, trying to show support for Max. Who knows?
Yeah.
And with the other timeline, she's dead. Well, presumed.
Presumably.
Well, yeah. Presumed. She could have got out. Couldn't.
No
might
one's
not.
dead until you know.
Yeah.
If you don't see them die, they're not dead. That's my theory.
Pretty much proven in, like, any kind of media, though.
Yep. Game of Thrones is a big one for that.
Right. So that's the main story regarding Victoria Chase.
Mm-hmm.
So we should delve into relationships a little bit. Now, we've kind of touched over most of these.
Right.
So I'm guessing we could just gloss over them, kind of just a little bit, since we've already talked about them.
Well, I think probably who we see the most closeness of Victoria with is Taylor.
Yeah.
Because when you talk to her about, you find out about her mother, you can then rewind, and that brings up the prompt where you can talk about it, and she'll mention how Victoria was there for her when really no one else was, and so we kind of see that, like, that's in episode 1, and we kind of see, like, okay, so Victoria is not just this, like, 2-dimensional character. She definitely has some depth to her.
And some sensitivity, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess we see again in the alternative timeline when she's asking Max if she's okay.
Yeah.
Right. So Victoria cares about people. She just A, has an odd way of showing it, and B, you have to be pretty close to her for her to actually care about
Kind of
it.
have to build some trust towards Victoria. Which is kind of hard considering she pushes people away.
I imagine, too, like, if you think about it, coming from a posh, rich family in school, like, before Blackwell, being very academically gifted as she is, as we see in her, in episode 3, when we find her student file, and, you know, she's heralded as the golden rule for students. She has a really high GPA. I believe it's like 3.9.
Yeah.
And she's in all, like, a whole bunch of extracurricular stuff, and she just, you know, she's very affluent. She's very doing the right things academically. you think about like her growing up and probably not only the pressures that she had on her from her family to like maintain like the affluence, I guess. I've been using that word a lot, but I'll use it again. And also I can imagine being pretty distrusting of people who might want to be your friends because her being the popular girl and like having money and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
So I can imagine a lot of her standoffishness probably comes from that.
Yeah. Okay.
Thinking about a younger Victoria.
When I think about a younger Victoria, I kind of imagine her not being as socially involved as she is now, just by the fact that she'd probably be so consumed by trying to get to the place she is now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's very possible, too.
We could see that. In the prequel, might not.
Yeah, true.
So it's all a matter of time until we find that out. But kind of moving on from Taylor, we have Courtney.
Yep.
She's kind of like probably the more blunt way to put it is that she isn't Victoria's favorite. Pretty much, she's a little bit less valued than Taylor.
Yeah.
But you know, Courtney's just trying to basically be Victoria's friend.
I feel like Courtney also is one of the friends who is friends with Victoria because Victoria is popular as well.
Yeah.
Whereas Taylor,
I was going to say that.
Taylor seems more inclined to care about her emotionally, and like they seem to have a real bond. Whereas from we've seen with Courtney, we haven't really seen that much, but she seems like she's just there to be part of that crowd.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, there's not really much else you can say about Courtney, unfortunately.
We don't really interact with Courtney a whole lot in the game.
Yeah. And even when we do, we don't really hear much about their relationship.
And she's kind of just copying anything that Taylor or Victoria says.
Yeah.
Right. She comes across as more of a lackey than an actual friend.
Yeah.
So should we move on to Nathan then?
Yeah.
Seems like Nathan is mainly there for Victoria for emotional support, I guess. From what I can tell from the end of episode 2, where you know, basically she's crying in the room, and then Nathan just goes into her dorm room just to see if she's all right and whatnot. They seem like best friends because of like all the pictures that you see with them together. You know, as they're in the classroom together and everything.
They're the two biggest names in Blackwell, so it kind of makes sense that
they hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do see like at the end of episode 2, like you said, and all that. We do have also too, like if you didn't comfort Victoria and you try to warn her about Nathan, Victoria will tell Max to fuck off, basically, because Nathan is one of her best friends and doesn't. So they're close. It's not even like a far shot. It's not even that far fetched to think that they're really close.
They're even good friends.
Maybe even
too.
Maybe some romantic involvement.
You see, I've always wondered that whether they were ever romantically involved. Because I thought so at first when I first started playing it, but then as we got further through it, I didn't really think so. And then I think I might be wrong. I think I might be making that up. But I think Nathan was somewhat interested in Rachel as well. So maybe that's more to why Victoria doesn't like Rachel.
Out of jealousy.
It could be, yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. I can't wait for BTS.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, but because it's just a matter of speculation until that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, do you want to talk about Nathan a little bit more, or do you want to talk about Max a little bit.
Let's talk about Max at the end since it's determinate whether she's friend or foe.
So move on to Rachel then.
Yeah. Like we said, Nathan and Victoria are really close. We've talked about Nathan in our Nathan episode.
Yep. That's almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And we touched on their relationship in that as well. So if you want to hear more, you can go back to that.
Yeah.
Unless Sean, did you have anything else to add about Nathan?
It's just interesting that he kind of comes to Victoria to support her emotionally and like mentally, within the fact that he's not stable emotionally or mentally at all.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's also shown that he's kind of considerate in the fact that he's, despite the fact not caring for how he feels himself, he's still trying for his friend.
Right. And I think that's a good testament to their relationship.
Yeah.
Moving to Rachel, that we kind of talked about a little bit. Basically, from what we can tell, whilst Rachel was a Blackwell, Victoria was like sucking up to her and everything. And
right.
When Rachel ultimately went missing, basically that's when the back talk about Rachel started. From Victoria. It's kind of like a Two-Face kind of scenario.
Yeah. We know that Victoria is like pretty jealous of Rachel. Rachel had seemingly everything. She was popular with everyone. She was she did well academically. She was pretty. She was wanting to be a model. She was,
almost everyone was in love with her.
And she was almost in every single clique in Blackwell.
Mm-hmm. Here's what I think, and this is a bit of a tangent. I do not think that Rachel and Mark were like sexually involved.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
I think that probably Rachel, unknowing of what Mark does with his free time, was probably like trying to be pretty close to him, maybe even wanting to get him to photograph her because she was wanting to be a model.
Yeah, and that's really good exposure for her.
Right. So they were probably close, I mean, in a sense of that, but I don't think they were sexually involved. And I think probably where that stemmed from was, A, out of the jealousy, but B, also to Mark probably took interest in her, specifically, even though, Rachel OD'd because of Nathan, but Mark took interest in her probably specifically for his own like nefarious reasons.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that Rachel leaves there's the letter that Chloe sees later about her like kind of getting involved with someone who's kind of dangerous, and has been confirmed by Alejandro, I believe, to be talking about Jefferson. But I just don't think that they were like romantically involved or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's something I have a lot of questions about Rachel, because I don't know how to feel about her, because people love her, but then people either really love her or really hate her, and there's not an in-between, so it's really hard to make a judgment on her. And she's, like, been said or shown or kind of depicted as being someone who's very much sexually or romantically involved with a lot of the people in Arcadia Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a little hinting at her with being with Nathan. Obviously, we know about her and Frank, and she lied about that to Chloe, and then she might have been involved with Chloe, she might have been involved with Jefferson, and it's really hard to tell because you don't know whether the people are just making stuff up because they all feel this way for Rachel or because people are jealous, and yeah, I have a lot of conflict about who she was and wasn't involved with. It's none of my business, but I'd like to know.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of like get back on track with Juliet. It's kind of understandable why Juliet hates Victoria because it's pretty much ruined her relationship with Zach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, Juliet writes the article
Yeah.
about Victoria bullying everybody.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a two-way street.
Right. And Victoria, I guess, sees Juliet as having stolen Zach.
Yeah.
Which... really, Zach is such a fuckboy. Why would you care? But,
Anyway.
so, yeah, Juliet and Victoria are definitely at odds.
Yeah.
And at each other's throat quite
Yeah.
a bit.
Some
Some bad blood there.
Chloe. Oh boy.
Yeah. So we know Chloe alludes to having interacted with Victoria while she was at Blackwell.
Yeah.
And also alludes to them not being on great terms.
Yeah.
So that probably has something to do with Victoria and Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I mean, Chloe was very temperamental, so I'm sure she would not take any of Victoria's shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they would clash. Like I said, they could completely get along, and they would clash a lot because they are both hot-headed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like two bulls kind of like about to ram into each other, really.
Yeah, and it's the same with how Rachel and Chloe's relationship worked.
Mm-hmm.
They're very similar, and that can create some
Tension.
issues, yeah.
Right.
Speaking of Chloe, we can't really have one without the other, so we can finally talk about Max now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
It's mainly determined, right? That's why we kind of left her almost at the end. Basically,
Right.
just talk about determinant factors.
So you can either end up on relatively good terms with Victoria, or you can end up completely at odds with her, depending on the choices that we've mentioned throughout the game. Unfortunately, ending on best terms with her gets Victoria in the dark room.
Yeah.
Oh, SpaghettiOs. But so they don't exactly have to be friends, though, which they kind of mentioned. You know, as long as they kind of acknowledge, you know, what they're good at, it's kind of
Right.
Yeah.
where they can kind of leave it be.
Yeah, they don't have to be friends, they can just be
cool.
civil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I guess that's all we can really say about it, right?
Yeah.
We've covered it pretty much throughout the entirety of
The podcast.
of this episode this far.
Yeah.
Should we? There's not much point talking about love interest, really, is there?
No, not really.
Because it's fucking Zach. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
So let's kind of like start wrapping it up with associated deaths then, which is a first for us, right?
Yeah, and that's really just Kate.
Mm-hmm. Basically, just the
If
emotional
Kate dies, yeah. Victoria was like the lead antagonist in harassing Kate, so you can. There's a lot of factors. I don't think the blame lies solely on Victoria, but there is a lot of blame that does rest on her shoulders. There's definitely, of course, because Jefferson, his fucking doing it. I mean, hell, him and Nathan are like equally as responsible.
Yeah.
for all of it.
God dang.
So, yeah, if Kate dies, you can surmise that a lot of that is because of Victoria.
Mm-hmm. So that's really it regarding relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about Victoria's character a little bit, and let's and Sean, I know you had some stuff to say.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah. Just about how when I first played it, I really hated Victoria. I just did not like her. I thought she was rude and horrible and not necessary. But then it's definitely the kind of interactions, not necessarily the interactions, but the way we heard about how Victoria treated her friends, like Taylor, like that kind of really helped swing the boat on like how I feel a bit conflicted about her as a person. She definitely has like some really good sides. Like we see how she can kind of be a little bit more vulnerable with Max and let down her guards when she's not around these friends, but then she has to build it up straight away by texting Max by thanks, but we're not BFFs, by the way, and stuff like that. Just she's kind of really childish in that sense, and I think it's really interesting, like we said, about how it's kind of just taking these stereotypes and building on them and making fans think about them a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think Max and Victoria very well could be friends, but because of Max's social status at the school, she's the new girl. Like, she comes in being very bashful and shy and all that, and like an easy target. And Victoria is, like you said, Sean, like keeping her at an arm's distance or more, because of that. Like, Max isn't popular at all, so like Victoria is going to say, well, why would I, like, it's almost as if like it would be degrading of Victoria's social status to be seen with Max. And I think that's really like the only thing that especially as time wears on and like you get to know more about Victoria and the interactions become a bit more sincere.
Yeah.
And I think they very well could be good friends, but it doesn't pan out that way.
Yeah, Victoria's not willing to let it happen.
Right.
Okay, so should we go on about a little bit of trivia, or shall we move on?
Yeah, I was just looking at the trivia and just about how she smokes cigarettes. Maybe she's not as perfect as everyone makes her out to be. And she's a stressed little teenager at an art school, as she put it.
Yeah, I think there's, because of the walls she's built up, there's a lot that goes on that she really doesn't have a good outlet for.
Yeah.
And that, in turn, like, fortifies those walls that she's put up, because not having an outlet which to do is just going to, like, the cognitive dissonance and what's going on with her is going to keep her miserable, which is going to, in turn, cause her to act miserable towards everyone else.
Yeah. Oh, also, I'm looking at the trivia page now. Here's a fun fact, also trivia about my kind of influence to the fandom. I was the person who originally found out Chloe and Victoria's height, and Max's.
Sweet.
That was me. I did, in fact, tweet Michelle, and I was like, please tell me how tall Chloe is, because she's the blue tree. And he was like, she's 5'9". And I also was the person who found out that Chloe had a belly button piercing. Just
How did you find that
in the swimming pool, I could see a tiny little dot, and I was like,
what is that?
Is that a belly button piercing I spy? So I sent a bunch of pictures to Michelle again, and he was like, yeah, nice spot. And I was like, of course I spotted it. And also I kind of wanted it because when Joyce is talking about Chloe... I'm going on a tangent here. But when Joyce is talking about how Chloe has, like, tattoos and piercings. I was like, piercings? I'm listening. Yeah, but I also found out that Victoria is also 5'9". So, yeah. Just a little fun fact there.
The more you know.
Yeah.
The more you know.
I obviously posted the screenshots on Tumblr and everyone was like, yes, we know how tall they are now!
Okay. Also, little fact for you, Joey, about the naming of Victoria Chase is a possibility.
Oh yeah, I was looking at that.
But
Cordelia?
Yeah. Because I know he's starting to like the Buffies.
Oh, I've always liked it.
Okay.
Well, actually, I have liked it for years. Yeah, and actually, like, I already knew that. There's, like, a lot of parallels between Buffy and the interactions between Max and other folks. But, yeah, Cordelia does kind of have similar
attributes.
Love-hate relationship with Buffy and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They're, like, often at odds, and Cordelia is very antagonistic, but they're also, like, kind of hang out.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting dynamic.
That's pretty much it
Yeah.
regarding Victoria Chase.
Yeah.
You can posit how nice it would be to watch Spirits Within, Final Fantasy Spirits Within on
her plasma.
Victoria's plasma.
On a tasty plasma.
Which no one has ever said before, ever.
Yeah.
Actually, I like that movie.
I think I own it, but it's like on a shelf somewhere, like in a... No, it's not on a shelf, in a box somewhere.
I haven't even
It was a
seen
very
it.
pretty movie.
I've just seen tiny clips from it, and I'm like, oh, okay. The CGI is a little bit off for me.
Well, at its time, it was like
Yeah, true.
really impressive. Of course, CGI does not age very well.
Yeah.
But I still think it's a very pretty movie. It's not a Final Fantasy movie, though. The most Final Fantasy that you have is that there's a character named Sid. So it's kind of a misnomer, and I think that's where a lot of, like, people were upset when it first came out, is because they were expecting, like, it to tie into at least one of the Final Fantasy games, but it really doesn't too much, if at all. And but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought it was
I'll watch it just to give a review.
Yeah. So, since we've finished the discussion on Victoria Chase, let's move on to the Everyday Hero segment.
Jamie.
Hi.
I'm a first time listener here.
Not this again.
And I gotta say, I'm loving the show so far.
Thanks for listening.
Absolutely loving the show. It's the best podcast I've ever listened to in my
Like,
entire
comment,
life.
subscribe.
I don't ever think I'll listen to another podcast because this just is the greatest.
Well,
but I do not know what Everyday Heroes is.
well,
What is
I
that?
appreciate you doing complimenting the podcast. You know, I don't get any joy out of this. This is mainly for you, the viewer. So, Everyday Heroes is a segment that we have towards the end of the podcast where it basically highlights the community by showing the content it creates, whether it be fan art, cosplay, music. It can be anything. When you submit it, we'll probably feature it at a later date. So, Sean, why don't you kick things off with this Victoria-themed Everyday Heroes?
Yeah, I saw this piece of art on DeviantArt, to be specific, and it shows Nathan, Max, and Victoria, and there's the little time swirl and the butterfly and stuff, and she's kind of holding on to them, and they're looking a bit distraught. And I just think it's really nice, and I'm a big fan of. I don't know how to say the name, so I'm gonna say O'Meal, and hope for the best.
That's what we do. It's okay.
Yeah, but I'm a really big fan of their art. I've seen a lot of it on Tumblr. They tend to do a lot for Life is Strange, or they did before. Anyway, still big fan. And I think the colours are really, really nice, and it's got kind of that sunsetty effect on it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice in the way that even though they're kind of, it's in a way for me metaphorically, they're kind of stuck on their luck and down and all that kind of stuff, and Max is like the good, who's like, despite all their shit, she's still like there for them, holding them and looking after them, and it's just, yeah, it's nice. It's nice, I like it.
Yeah.
It's just really pretty style.
I'm really loving like the outside circle of it, where, you know, you kind of mentioned the sunset effect, where it goes down to like a darkish green, which could like represent grass and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's a nice little touch there.
Yeah. And even the little butterfly, that's a nice touch.
Yes.
And
Sorry,
and I was about to comment on the little crushed butterfly in Victoria's hand is interesting too.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Speaking of the art itself, I love the shading, like the lighting on it, and the shadow effects, where like the light source is like hitting Max the most, and then you kind of have some reflection on Nathan, like his hair, and then some of it is shining a little bit on Victoria as well. It's very evocative. It's kind of like you were saying, Sean. Max is the light that's kind of like holding them from like sinking into complete darkness.
Yeah. You put that much better than I did.
And I think it's aptly named Down the Vortex. So I think that's definitely like what was what they were going for. Conversely, though, you could say that the darkness is
dragging Max down.
Dragging Max down. Yeah.
Interesting.
I really like how the light is basically concentrated on Max's hand.
Yeah.
It's a nice touch there.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yes.
I believe this is part of a series.
Yes. Yeah.
So make sure to check out the rest of the art too. This one, of course, features Victoria. It is really evocative, and it really it does kind of make you think about like Max's role in the lives of Nathan and Victoria, and conversely, like I said, their roles in Max's life, the emotion shown on everyone's face is very, what's the word? It's very poignant.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really good piece. I love stuff like this, like stuff that like really conveys emotion.
The styles, like, I really love the style as well. It's just really pretty, really nice to look at.
It would make for a good poster.
Yeah, definitely.
So that is Ormeal, possibly Orme, depending on the language, but we'll go with Ormeal on DeviantArt, and it looks like also Tumblr as well.
Yeah.
So make sure to check out their stuff, and thank you so much, Ormeal, for letting us use your work.
It's a good piece.
Jamie, what you got for us?
I have another cosplay. This time it's a Victoria Chase cosplay by CrunchyToast1 on Instagram.
Yeah.
There's a couple of reasons why I like this one. Mainly, the cosplay itself, the kind of the characterization of the cosplayer in the photograph as well.
Yeah.
Because the outfit is obviously stylized after episode 1 Victoria, with the sweater and the collar and the sweet ass jewelry.
Bling.
As well as characterization, which I'm going to talk about now, is the resting bitch face that Victoria tends to have, which I absolutely love that she was able to display in this.
Yeah. It's a very accurate portrayal, and I just want to touch a little bit on the fact that there's really good attention to detail in this cosplay in particular, because whilst I was replaying episode 1 yesterday, I actually made a comment and I was like, oh, Victoria paints her nails purple, and I've noticed that this particular cosplayer has also painted the nails purple just to cosplay Victoria, which is a really nice little detail, and with the watch and the jewelry like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. It's really good. I love it so much.
I wonder if she's cold with all that ice on her wrists.
Ooh. How long did it take you to come up with that?
3 seconds.
Wow, that's a new record.
Wow.
Personal best.
Kind of just to piggyback, she definitely nailed the attitude of Victoria, which is always great to say. Like, I love cosplay is like fascinating to see, and people do such a great job with it, and like people are like the hard work and stuff that they put into cosplays, but then like it even like takes it a step further when they like get into character with it. And it's really like I think that's like probably like the coolest part about cosplaying is that it allows a person to become this character.
Yeah, that's as someone who cosplays, that's something that is my favorite part of cosplaying, and this person has really managed to pull it off really well.
So awesome job,
That's
Crunchy
fun.
Toast 1.
Joey, what you got?
So, I've done a lot of crossovers, and I keep talking about how I'm going to stop, but I'm back on my bullshit. This is a Pokemon crossover, which I think I love the like I've seen a few of like what people think each character's like main Pokemon would be or what their team would be. I've also seen it with like Overwatch and stuff like that, and I love like that type of I love crossovers with Pokemon. This is I Can't Believe Victoria Owns an Island in Alola by Kunaike on Tumblr.
Huge fan.
And she also did the art for Love is Strange.
Yep.
So you may recognize this style. Excellent artist. So Victoria's got a Alolan Persian, which is one of the regional variations that was introduced in Sun and Moon. So that's why Persian is purple and looks not like the Persian we knew from previous titles. And I gotta say, Persian absolutely is the most fitting Pokemon for Victoria, because Persian is very aloof and is very like scowly and just is the quintessential like cat. And so we have like Persian perched on Victoria's shoulders here, and they're both kind of like definitely judging something off in the distance. Also I love Victoria's swimsuit, the Pokeball design on the left strap, and just it nails the attitude as well.
Yeah.
The huffiness of Victoria. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh man, I gotta use this.
Yeah.
The shadow work is really, really awesome too, with the shadow and Persian from Victoria's head and sunglasses and stuff. Even like the shaping of it and all that is I'm a big fan of like in digital and traditional work, the use of light. And I think that's really like historically been very interesting too, is the use of light in paintings and stuff like that. So I'm always a big fan of when that is implemented
Yeah.
in artwork.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of their work. I've been following them on Tumblr forever. Reblogged too many pieces of their art, probably. And I really do love their art style. I find that they always make everything look so pretty and soft, and the colours are always like really like soft is how I describe it, and it's just really pleasing to look at.
Right. There's not too many hard lines in it. It's blended very well.
I don't know what to say because I've never played a Pokemon game before.
No, I do not know anything about Pokemon, so...
Oh, boy. So, yeah. I'm gonna have to piggyback with what Joey said with the lighting. Because I feel like lighting is very important, and it can make a piece or break it, and this is really well done.
Yeah.
As well as the Pokemans. It's really well done. It's kind of it's loyal to that style as well as Vic.
Yeah, and I think you already spoke a little bit about shading, but I just want to talk about how on the color shading on the face, like there's no harsh lines about kind of like cheekbones and stuff like that, but you can clearly see it by the use of colors, and it's really nice. Really nicely done.
The Victoria's face in particular is like really well, like the what's the word?
Eyebrow raise is pretty good.
Sassy.
Yeah.
It's not I don't want to say imitation. It's not the word I'm looking for, but it's similar to that.
Interpretation?
The style is done very, very close to the concept art and just in general the art of the game, which she also absolutely nailed in Love is Strange as well. So just that like kind of blended. You can you see the facial shapes and all that, but there's, like you said, Sean, there's no harsh lines in it. It's just all from shading that you get the shape of the face. So that's like really, really well done. So excellent job. I love it. I'm the resident Poke fanatic, I guess. And,
sorry. Yeah. Okay. Thank you to everybody for letting us use your artwork for this week's Everyday Heroes. If you'd like to see your work again, well, if you'd like to see your artwork in a future episode of Everyday Heroes, you can send it to us via email at blackwellpodcast@hotmail.com, tweet it to us, or direct message us at blackwellpdcast on Twitter, Instagram, Blackwell Podcast, Tumblr, blackwellpodcast.tumblr.com. Is that it?
Facebook is coming soon.
We're working on that.
Ooh.
Also, before we get completely off Everyday Heroes, shout out to Mike Hetty and Tomorrow Hart for finishing their big collaborative fan fiction piece, Play Crack the Sky, which is titled after a brand new song. So shout out to them for finishing that. They've been working on it for several months now. And we're still trying to figure out what to do about
fan fiction.
Fiction, having showcasing fan fiction. But for now, we'll just do shout outs to.
I suppose maybe we could take a favorite line from a fan fiction or extract or something. Something small.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll look into that.
Or we could ask, if there's a synopsis, if we see something, have the writers write a synopsis of it, and then can try to pique interests.
Okay.
So we'll hash that out and come up with something real good real soon.
So, okay, that's pretty much everything. Everyday Heroes now, right? So we should go on to the schedule. So, next episode is going to be with Zach. It's going to be the time travel episode that we talked about last episode. Still taking submissions for the LGBTQ plus episode.
Yes, and that is, if in some way we want to hear how Life is Strange, either if you want to share it with us, of course, we don't want anyone to be uncomfortable, but we want to talk about the sort of the representation in the sense that how it kind of helped you accept yourself, or maybe helped you realize something. And just any positive outcome that came from actually playing the game. And so we want to hear from that. We have, we'll have the links up for this. We have 2 ways of submitting anonymously. Either there's a forum on Life is Strange fans that Chris set up for us. And then also, Sean, actually, your Tumblr.
Yeah.
We will have the links in the description below. So check those out if you want to submit anonymously. And you can also use either of those forms to submit if you do want to have your name attached to it as well. We have 3 spots open
for the show.
For if you want to actually come on the show with us and talk about it. If you want to do that, get in touch with us on Twitter or email us, something along those lines. And we'll get back with you as far as scheduling and all that goes.
Deadline for that, it will be the 8th of July. So, in a couple of weeks. And regards of everything else, we're mainly just planning on other stuff as well to get the ball rolling on that end.
Should we
what?
Should we we've got something pretty cool in the works. I'll just leave it at that until it's more finalized.
Yeah. We should tease it but not say anything.
We got something cool coming up.
I don't know what we're talking about.
It's very secretive.
I feel like... Do I know, or...?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
We'll tell you after the episode.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it for this episode of the Blackwell Podcast,
yes,
right?
I'm with you. Yeah. Got it.
So as always, thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next week.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.